but of course I think with a completely dry track at the moment, BMW do appear to have the upper hand. Both Nissan and to an even greater extent Ford struggling for grip with their front-wheel drive cars. Of course, we've got rear-wheel drive cars at the BMWs, four-wheel drive cars at the Audis. The Nissans and the Fords are are front-wheel drive, but next year the Ford Mondeos will, I am told, be four-wheel drive. But now 14 laps to come up. Of course, they dive down into that fantastic Eau Rouge corner and then up to Radion, and then the long run then to Les Combes, and then the new part of the circuit. There we see Hans Stuck and a little bit of breakup on the in-car camera. Green flag is waved, it will just be seconds now. Engines revving, the lights are red, the lights go to green, and they are off. And who makes the best start? Well, BMW has certainly all got away well. One of the Nissan certainly making quite a good start. I think that was Capelli. And look at that Audi diving through into second place. Tremendous start there from Frank Biela. I'm pretty sure that is Biela. All these cars have little colour markings on them. Frank Biela has yellow markings on the front of his car. But it is definitely in the lead. Johnny Cicotto. And locking up there, and spinners, and all sorts of dramas, and wheels knocked off, and out of the action goes Marcus Osterreich. No, it's Boutsen, it's Thierry Boutsen, and that car well damaged. Thierry Boutsen, well, a very short race for him, the former 3 times Grand Prix winner, and Boutsen still in the car. So this race starting with a major incident. Boutsen walks away, definitely not very impressed. Couldn't see at the back of the pack exactly what happened there, being collected by one of the back markers. So an exciting start. And BMWs, and that's it, Emanuele Pirro there in the number 5 car. And in fact, it's Alex Bergstaller who is leading. Bergstaller is leading from Cicotto, and then we have Frank Biela. Now joining the old circuit again, coming up towards the end of this first 7-kilometre lap. And let's try and see what happened in the back of the pack. Thierry Boutsen went right sidling across the whole field. It looked as if he had a tap from behind into the barrier very hard, and also collecting a back marker, and that looked to me as if it could have been Yolanda Sura, but yes, I think it was Yolanda Sura. In fact, it wasn't, it was Peter Cox. So at the end then of the first lap, they go around La Source, and Alfred Hager told me we might just kiss the barrier, said, as we come out of there. But Bergstaller leading from Cicotto, Pirro in 3rd place, then it's Alfred Hager, then Ravaglia, then Biela, then Bartels, then Stuck, then Capello, then Bernhardt, then Capelli, then Heisman, then Osterreich, who was obviously held up for that incident, then Panchers, and then Yolanda Sura, and then Hager. And see yellow flags waving madly, the car's being slowed right down. That of course will bunch everybody up. You saw the marshal there from the in-car camera, and now Hans Stuck going by and very nearly touching that Nissan. Well, there's the look out of the back window, and the camera being rotated by remote control. Clever stuff these days. But the big surprise is that Alex Bergstaller is leading this race. Just see the little blue flashes on his car. Johnny Cicotto in 2nd place, then Emanuele Pirro, and then after him we have Alfred Hager. I think there's no question about it that Mark Sura, the BMW competition chief, the former Grand Prix racer, will at some stage in the game give instructions over the radio to Alex Bergstaller to let Johnny Cecotto past him. But right now he's enjoying the glory of leading this race, the first time he's led a round of the German Touring Car Cup. Like a number of the other people in this race, he was dicing it out at Enna in Italy last weekend, where he actually finished 6th in a race run by the Alfa Romeo of Tamburini, with Johnny Cecotto finishing 2nd. BMW also in the running there in that particular championship. BMW's, of course, racing all over the world, also competing in the Japanese championship. In the British championship for the Schnitzer team, which is racing at Silverstone today, the penultimate round of that series. I understand that Tim Harvey in the Renault is on pole position there at Silverstone. So Emanuele Pirro at the BMWs as Johnny Cecotto goes through. Alex Bergstaller dutifully gives him plenty of room, and so Johnny Cecotto leads at the end of the second lap. In second place then, Alex Bergstaller. In third place, keeping a very close watching brief, is Emanuele Pirro, and they have already pulled away from Alfred Hager and Roberto Ravaglia, who, as you heard saying earlier, is not used to this particular BMW or to the tyres. At the start of the third lap, the gap was 0.26. It looks much closer than that as the Audi goes through. So now we have a really charging drive from Emanuele Pirro, former Grand Prix driver. So Bergstaller's gone from first back to third, and without question, in these particular conditions, dry but overcast, there is a pretty close contest between the best of the BMWs and the best of the Audis. And there you see the second group with the further 2 BMWs of Hager and Ravaglia. And no doubt about it, Bergstaller wants to get past that Audi again down the very difficult section, the new part of the track which they built so much in the aspect of the old, what was it, 12 kilometre circuit. I did a couple of laps around here in the dust last night, and it really does put your heart in your mouth going down those sweeping section, because there are some very steep declines down there, and the corners just seem to go on, and they follow each other in a very difficult and not very rhythmic way. You really have to be very, very accurate with the apexes. You have to be on exactly the right part of the road. As Bergstaller tries down the inside, locks up, and he's going to go. Oh, Bergstaller making a big mistake. Goes across the grass and will drop. Well, he's only dropped one place, but Bergstaller too late onto the brakes. And so that gives a bit of a cushion to Emanuele Pirro, and it also gives a cushion to Cecotto, with still plenty of action. And a lot of shuffling there between the best of the BMWs and Audis, but very definitely Johnny Cecotto in the lead. Pirro is second in all that nonsense. Alfred Hager moved up to third place. Frank Wieler is now fourth. Ravaglia is fifth. Bergstaller is sixth. Bartels in the best of the Nissans is seventh, followed by Capello and Stuck, as we see this all in slow motion. Pretty obvious what happens. And he only just missed those tyres too. There may be a 10-second penalty for that shortcut. We'll have to wait and see. But Alex Bergstaller, having led this race early on, the tall young German getting his big chance this year, being drafted into the team. And there we see Ravaglia's bonnet flapping. But Frank Wieler, the championship leader, still in fourth spot. Frank Wieler does actually have a chance of clinching the title here today at Spa, but only if Johnny Cecotto and Emanuele Pirro both fail to finish, and Biela wins the race. Doesn't look very likely at the moment, but let's just recap then on this lap number 4. Cecotto leads, Pirro is second, Hager is third, and Biela is fourth as the action continues all down the field. Back at Spa, in your picture there, Michael Bartels. But we go to the bus stop chicane to catch the lead to the pack, and well, an accident there, well, not an accident, a mistake I should say from Frank Biela. Biela just popping in too close and scattering those tyres. Frank Biela really trying hard, this big train of cars battling over 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th positions. Michael Bartels said there, very much in that scrap now. The leading 3 crossing the start-finish line for the 4th time. Cecotto with almost 2 seconds lead now over Pirro, Hager and Biela. Here's that incident at the chicane. You see there, those tyres scattered. Frank Biela just taking it a little bit too close, and the tyre wall now being rebuilt by the efficient Belgian marshals. Well, Frank Biela, you don't usually see too many mistakes from him. He's a driver that is smooth, and that's why he gets so much out of this car. Frank Biela, former DTM champion, just turned 30, and certainly one of the best touring car drivers around. So Johnny Cecotto still leads. Cecotto, the winner at Zolder and Salzburg, and third at Zandvoort and the Oostenrijkring. Biela, of course, having won at Aarhus, Wunstorp and Zandvoort, and Alfred Hager having won it in Austria at the Oostenrijkring. So at the front, they've stretched out a little bit. Cecotto with that 2-second buffer over this man, Emanuele Pirro, charismatic Italian, quite a lot of Formula One history behind him. And then here is this battle, 3 cars now in 4th, 5th and 6th places. Biela, Bergstaller after that incident, and also amongst that lot Ravaglia and Bartels, and there Bartels challenging Bergstaller. And smoke coming out of the back of that one particular Audi. That doesn't look too promising at all. But here at the bus stop chicane, here's Biela, who misses the tyres this time. And Biela has Capello behind him now. Pindo Capello at the back of that group with the pink strip across the windscreen. There is Capello, and there's the pit signal for Johnny Cecotto. You're in the lead by 1.9 seconds and 3.8 seconds ahead of the championship leader, I would think. Pit board still being used even in Grand Prix racing, despite the radio communications from pits to car. It's a nice backup, and there's never been any question of not using the old-fashioned pit board, which hasn't changed that much in the last 15 or 20 years. But as you see, still a very tight field here, and Michael Bartels seems to be the one that's on a bit of a charge. Michael Bartels, girlfriend of Steffi Graf, who obviously was in a big contest yesterday, and I suspect that Michael's been on the phone to talk about all the happenings at Flushing Meadow. And still that Audi of Biela pushing out smoke, and that is very worrying indeed. Well, maybe we're seeing Frank Biela's championship chances going away, although he does pass then. Made a passing manoeuvre very successfully on Michael Bartels. Just look at that smoke. It's not coming from the exhaust, it's coming Well, it may be from a tyre, it may be from the underside of the car, and off goes one Audi, and that is Hans Stuck. And Stuck regaining the circuit. Just see how much traction he's got there on the grass with four-wheel drive, and another BMW goes off. Just trying to see which one of the BMWs that was. I think it's suspicion it was Cecotto. They all look the same, these BMWs. Well, there is, in fact, Cecotto in the lead. So which one was that? Well, we'll have to wait and find out for a moment. So, lots of action here at Spa, and benefiting from that, definitely Michael Bartels. Now here is Hans Stuck. Stuck can't quite see why he ran off the circuit there, just lost his line perhaps into the gravel, and with four-wheel drive managing to keep it going, and perhaps with a two-wheel drive car he might have got stuck, but no, Hans keeps the power in, gravel flying everywhere. He'll hear all that in the cockpit. Now onto the grass where he reckons he can get some better traction, because he's collected it all up at this point, and then back onto the racetrack. But that is dropped Hans Stuck back to 12th, and Patrick Bernhardt in his Audi, he walks away, and that engine has definitely blown up. So a bit of a question mark over the four-cylinder Audi units. Johnny Cecotto swings it through these corners, using every bit of the road and a little bit more. And this race now coming down to a battle between Johnny Cecotto and Emanuele Pirro, with Cecotto very much in the driving seat at this time. Here is Alfred Hager, who is now third. Alex Bergstaller is in fourth place. And I think I have now worked out that Roberto Ravaglia was the man that had that moment. But as I said, these BMWs all have the same markings on them, the same overall colour scheme with the checkered flag at the back, and just small markings on the mirrors. And to be eagle-eyed to catch out which markings are which. So there, the gap shown on the caption between Cecotto in the lead and Pirro in second place. And it's widening all the time, now to 3.8 seconds. In the Audi pits, they're obviously concerned. The championship leader, Frank Biela, has regained fifth spot, but he won't be very happy with that. And it does look as if this series will definitely go down to the wire in 2 weeks' time at the Nürburgring. Into the bus stop chicane again. That is Alfred Hager. See the green markings on the car, his personal sponsor. Hager, I must say, has been having a superb season. And a very popular man with the press, always very helpful. And then there's Bergstaller, the youngster who won the Spa 24 hours with Roberto Ravaglia, and Thierry Tassin, who has been racing here earlier today in another BMW in the Belgian Pro Car Series, a race in which he won, leading home his teammate Marc Duez. And the BMW is now running absolutely side by side, and Bergstaller with perhaps a little more horsepower. Hager on the left, and Bergstaller way out there and going the long way round, and indeed moving up a spot. So Bergstaller it is now in third place, and those two men, Frank Biela, would dearly love to get by. And there you see all locked up, Hans Stuck, car number 44. And Hans, after all those problems and the heartache he must have been through over the previous week, says he can completely concentrate on the racing, but well, we have seen him make a couple of mistakes. The great Le Mans veteran, man who raced in Formula One, of course, with Brabham and with also with March, and There's the famous crash helmets of the blue with the white stars around them. But Frank Biela there, and there we have BMW's team management, so with Mark Storer and the sponsorship manager and the PR manager all watching the screen together. BMW, of course, sponsored by FINA, the Belgian-based fuel company, and they support BMW all around the world. Well, Johnny Cecotto, the former motorcycle world champion in the 350 class, also won the Formula 750 category at World Championship level back in the 70s. Great friend of Barry Sheen's, of course, guy that came over as a little more than a teenager and won the 350 title in his very first year on a Yamaha. Sponsored for many years by Andreas Ippolito, the Venezuelan importer of Yamahas. Johnny, of course, from Venezuela, now lives in the Treviso area of Italy. And that Audi, meanwhile, continuing with the smoke coming off it. And, well, that must worry Frank Biela, but at least the car seems to be continuing at unabated pace there in 5th spot. Just to remind you, in that first lap incident, Thierry Boutsen and Peter Cox were eliminated, and Thierry Boutsen's teammate Marcus Osterreich, we have not seen much of the former truck racer so far in this coverage because he is back in 10th place. Pirot there, lying second. Emanuele Pirot, who has a long tradition of touring car racing, the great majority of it, we have to say, actually in BMWs. Pirot finishing 4th last weekend at Enna. So this, the 9th lap they're working with the order: Johnny Cecotto, Emanuele Pirot, Alex Bergstaller in 3rd place, Alfred Hager is 4th, and the championship leader, Frank Biela, is only in 5th spot. Calling it the German Touring Car Cup isn't exactly accurate. It's getting quite close to being a European Touring Car Cup. But with the red mirrors, it is Johnny Cecotto, the camera foreshortening his lead over Emanuele Pirot, and indeed Pirot's lead over Alex Bergstaller. Then it's Alfred Hager, and then there the smoky Frank Biela. And it does seem to me that that smoke is getting a little worse. I wish I could see exactly where it's coming from. It's possibly from some kind of engine or gearbox leak with the oil going onto the exhaust. Difficult to tell. I'm sure the Audi technicians are also watching that, and they'll have a reasonable idea of what the problem is, but it certainly isn't hampering Biela's speed by that amount. And of course Biela will need to get the points. If it's a very serious oil leak, well, they're going to tell Biela, just stay out there and hope it doesn't blow up, because you need the points. And it is getting worse. It is definitely getting worse, and I would say that the chances of Frank Biela finishing this 14-lap race are pretty slim now, but he'll just keep going, and sometimes mechanical things are absolutely marvellous and they just hang on when they really shouldn't. So let's just wait and see what happens in that particular situation. But from very early on in the race, it's been Johnny Cecotto, and now Emanuele Pirot is really getting pushed by Alex Bergstaller. Bergstaller tries for the inside, and Bergstaller goes through, and Pirot's off on the grass. There are flames from under the car as he grounds it on the curbing. And BMW now 1st and 2nd. Pirot is 3rd. Good racing here at the German Touring Car Cup. Great contest between BMW and Audi. So, young Alex Bergstaller, hard charging racer, still a lot to prove in his career. And there is Alfred Hager. Hager on different tyres to the other 2 BMWs in front of him. That could be a factor later in the race. Hager running on the Dunlops. as indeed are the Audis, but Johnny Cecotto and Alex Bergstaller in the factory BMWs there on Michelin. Yokohama, who play a very big part in the touring car series around the world, are not represented here. Ravaglia telling me he had thought of running on the Yokos here, but decided against it. And still this battle continuing, and Alfred Hager now moving up, and Hager in front of Pirot, and Pirot will almost certainly be instructed to wave past Frank Bieler. It's that time in the season when team orders really do matter, when championships are at stake, and championships are what major motor manufacturers like to advertise, and these campaigns here costing these manufacturers a great deal of money. But it really does look as if this series will go to the final round at the Nürburgring in 2 weeks' time. Cecotto now with an 8-second lead over teammate Alex Bergstaller. And there is Bieler. Well, it is still going. Lots of smoke. And the smoke is, of course, burned oil. And when all the oil is gone, there is only one thing that can happen to the engine, and that is it finishes up a load of molten mess, probably with a lot of broken pieces. Well, let's hope that that doesn't happen here, because Frank Bieler has unquestionably been one of the stars of the series. He dominated the early races, winning, of course, at Arvus and then at Wunstorf, just walking away with those races. But subsequently, after the rules were changed, still an excellent win at Zandvoort too. So that smoke still billows as they come into the bus stop chicane, where it's so easy to make a mistake, hop over the curbs or even miss the chicane. And up then towards the famous La Source hairpin. There you see Cecotto crossing the start-finish line. Cecotto going on to what the screen tells me is the last lap. And you can just see that big lead that Cecotto has. And there, coming into view, Bergstaller, and then Hager, and then the two Audis. And it does look as if Bieler has gone. Indeed, he goes ahead of Pirot. No resistance from Pirot, and that will help him in the point standings. Eight points for fourth place is about all he's going to get. And for a win for Cecotto, there's 20, so that will really reduce the margin by a considerable amount. In fact, they could be very close to on the same score after this round. We'll obviously do the sums as the race finishes. But superb drive by Johnny Cecotto, guy who could have done so well in Grand Prix racing, but of course had that terrible crash at Brands Hatch which damaged his legs, racing for Tolman. And as we watch this closing stage of the race, I'm just quickly trying to work out the possible combinations here. And in fact, I think we could still have Bieler in the lead of the series by some in the region of 8 or 9 points. But nevertheless, this race has been all about Johnny Cecotto. Cecotto in the superbly prepared Vorsteiner sponsored Michelin tired BMW. checkered flag awaits, and Johnny Cecotto is the winner. Mark Sura has a broad smile on his face, as do the other team personnel, and coming to the line and making it a BMW 1-2. And in fact, Alfred Hager just snipped past Bergstaller. So big surprise, good drive by Alfred Hager. Fieler just makes it. And following Fieler home, Pirot and the rest of the boys, there you see the Nissans and Fords coming through. And the result, Johnny Cecotto, the overall winner. Alfred Hager second, Alex Bergstaller is third, Frank Fieler fourth, Emanuele Pirot is in fifth spot. Then another Audi of Dindo Capello. Michael Bartels finishing seventh. Roberto Ravaglia brought in to help Johnny Cecotto, finishing down in eighth place. Van Capelli, we saw little of him, finishing ninth, and Marcus Osterreich 10th. And, well, you can see climbing immediately out of that damaged Audi. So obviously